It's your turn.
Yes, just give me a minute.
Why? You always lose.
Only at this game. You spin the wheel of mayhem to go up the ladder of chance. You go past the mud hut, through the rainbow ring to get to the golden monkey. You yank his tail and boom, you're in Paradise Pond. Are you ready to be bamboozled? What is the capital of Colombia?
Bogota?
What is the meaning of hippopotomonstrosesquippedaliophobia? Or something like that.
Commercial break. I'll get back to you.
Joey and Chandler made escapism an art form. What these two friends could accomplish with what was available around them to escape from the everyday was and is the stuff of TV legends. From being in a canoe to inventing games out of thin air, this dynamic duo knew how to escape. Bonus points if you knew that Bamboozled was actually the game show that Joey auditioned out for, and Cups would be the better example of a game Chandler made up to help Joey escape. Also, there's 50 states, Phoebe. 50! Friends showed us that when you spend years with people, you can have quite a few laughs along the way if you're not always talking about crops or the weather or work or what the neighbor's third cousin's husband's brother's niece kid did. Sometimes we want to escape with those that are around us, to have a shared experience. Games such as trivia have been a meeting place for generations. They allow us as humans to connect and to compete. Games allow us to leave the real world behind for a while, where only the game itself and perhaps a snack or two occupies our thoughts. Trivia games are one of the oldest human escapes, and one of the ones where I challenge you to find anyone, infants exempt, who hasn't played trivia at least once. Welcome to the Chronicles of Geek. I'm Damon Roth, your geek from the north. Alright, I'm going to give you a list of 3 games. And I'm going to bet you a load of Carillion whiskey that you have heard of every single one of them. And I can, with almost 99.9999% certainty, say that you have played at least 2 of them at least once. Are you ready? Trivia Pursuit, Jeopardy, Cards Against Humanity. Now, when I was mentioning the trivia games, did your mind wander off to some memories of a particular escape? Was it the time you beat your big brother so bad he never wanted to play again? Or the time you found out what your sister or fiance really thinks or doesn't? Some answers just should never be given. Let's admit it. And everyone now knows that one person who's quiet, nice, caring, until the trivia game is about their passion. There are very few escapes that we as humans have created that stand the test of time. Last episode, we looked at one of the longest escapisms of humans, being art. However, art is something that not all of us can do. Some of us even have great anxiety when we're called upon to do anything creative. Great anxiety. Art, or at least the creation of art, is generally an activity that even when in a group, one escapes into alone. This unfortunately can be one of the dangers of escapism. We as humans, whether we want to accept it or not, are social creatures. We need to have contact to survive. The past year has proven that fact all too well. But it has also shown us that as humans, we will go through great lengths to escape with other humans. The sharing of trivia questions has been documented to go back to, well, all the way back. It was one of the earliest ways for us to learn and to show dominance. Have you ever sat around a fire or living room on a quiet random evening just sharing bits of random knowledge? We all have. Groups of individuals have found ways to connect, to even play games over great distances. Every couple of weeks, for my wife and I, with our nerd herd, gather around our respective pieces of technology and determine, without a doubt, that you can play Trivia Pursuit, Cranium, 80 Super Quiz, all at the same time. You just need a whiteboard, the super wide dry erase marker. Trust me on this one. The historical record shows that in past times of troubles, we as a species have turned to games to pass the time, to give us hope, to give us a win, to give us a sense of purpose, and to simply escape. In this day and age of uber technology connections that may be a bit overloading, we as humans, as a generation, need more than ever the connection that comes from the escape of games. House rules will always be the way, and sometimes the correct answer is the funniest one. Welcome to the Geek Flashback News, where the year is 1964 and the world's longest running game show, among other records, is about to debut. Jeopardy is about to go on to the air for the first time. Jumping back just a few years earlier, however, and it appeared that the dream of the TV quiz show was dead. During the 1950s, numerous consumers of media were riveted by a series of scandals related to TV quiz shows which themselves were extremely popular at the time. However, they were also rigged. Game shows had been born right around the dawn of television after proving their popularity on radio. Way back in 1938, Information Please, a radio show that rewarded listeners from submitting questions that stumped an expert panel. By the 1950s, producers and networks looking for a larger share of the TV advertising pie began to rig the shows to ensure rating bonanzas. This, of course, was the beginning of the end of the classic quiz shows. The Manhattan District Attorney convened a grand jury that heard testimony from over 150 witnesses, which led to a congressional hearing. 21 contestant James Snodgrass spilled the beans when he admitted he had been given the answers on the show and was able to produce registered letters he had mailed to himself at the time of each show's taping, each featuring the questions and the answers he'd been given. In 1960, Congress put the final nails in the show's coffin by amending the Communications Act of 1934. Fixing quiz shows was now illegal. The game show was dead. That was until a plunky producer by the name of Merv Griffin in 1963 was laying in bed one night with his wife. Told his wife, Julianne, that the public suspected that networks that did run the shows simply just gave contestants the answer. And with the simple words, "Why don't you give them the answers?" his wife responded. Merv's retort was the show wouldn't have enough tension. Julianne countered that contestants could lose money if they asked the wrong questions, putting them in jeopardy. And television history was changed forever. This has been your Geek Flashback News. Today's Geek Flashback News has been brought to you by Ripped Apparel. Use the promo code GNN10 for all your finer geek apparel needs. And don't forget to subscribe and like below to keep up on all your fan-fueled content.
Woman, you have an email. It says something about a gripe of the week.
Hey, that's cool. Wait, you have my passwords?
Of course, silly human. I knew you would want me to have them, so I just watched you type them in. Remember, my eye lenses are removable.
Right, yes. This gripe of the week was received via messenger from one of you, our fans of Geek News Now. Jeff from Alberta has a gripe with the laziness of animators, and I agree. In this world of modern technology, computer animation, and all things awesome, why do modern animators still cheat by recycling backgrounds? Sure, back in the 40s and even the 70s, when shows like Looney Tunes graced theaters and Flintstones changed the course of TV history, reusing background animation became pretty much a running joke. It was done for two reasons: time and cost. But it was also done at a time when everything was done by hand, no computers. In today's modern world, the same two reasons still are used to justify to repeat animations: cost and time. But with the advent of technology, I need to ask, how much does it cost to change at least the color of a building that is being used for the fourth time? For decades, studios and executives have made the choice of money over quality. Sometimes it works. Sometimes it's part of the show and adds to escape. The animation styles of South Park, King of the Hill, and The Simpsons have been genres all unto their own. But all of these properties go through great lengths to hide the copy and paste, or they turn it into a running gag that mocks the entire process. Hiding behind the excuse of cost effectiveness, however, is nothing more than a bait and switch to cover not only the complacency, but the profit focus of the industry. This has been your Geek Gripe of the Week, brought to you by MetallicDiceGames.com. If you're about to go down the rabbit hole and need the gaming tools you need to get you there, use promo code GNN for 10% off all your gaming needs.
All right, I have my bubble-filled drink and my favorite box, ready to listen. You may begin.
You definitely look comfortable. What are you ready for?
Well, this week's review, of course.
I didn't know you appreciated them so much. Let's not keep you waiting. A posting by a certain Tom Riley caught Trench's eye one evening, late in the spring of 1944. It vaulted the merits of Neo-Pythagoreanism, an ancient syncretic religion. That is, one combining different religious and philosophical beliefs, seeking to interpret the world in terms of numbers and arithmetical relationships. The origins, Riley wrote, can be traced back to a school of philosophy based on the teachers of famous Greek philosopher and mathematician Pythagoras, that became prominent in Alexandria in the 1st century. Number 1, or monad, denoted to the principle of unity, identity, equality, and conservation of the universe, which results from persistence. Number 2, or dyad, signifying the dual principle of diversity and inequality, of everything that is divisible or mutatable, existing at one time in one way and at one time in another way. Similar reasons apply to the use of other numbers. Numbers could also be arranged in geometrical shapes, the most perfect of which, tetrachus, consisting of the first 4 integers deposed in a triangle of 10 points, where the number 4 is represented by all 3 sides of the equilateral triangle. Going through his email one morning, he found a short note from Riley. Still interested in ancient truths? I might be able to help. Tom Riley. An exchange of messages followed, and a meeting was arranged. 2 days later, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, Trench was sitting at one of the tables in the spacious Starbucks store at the intersection of Lake and LaSalle in downtown Chicago, with a huge steaming mug of black coffee in front of him. He didn't have to wait long. Dr. Trench, the female voice came from behind him. He turned around to face her. The woman smiled, amused at the surprised look in his eyes as she introduced herself. I'm Gloria Sweeney, also known as Tom Riley. They shook hands. She was a diminutive older lady, well past her 60s, wearing a dark suit and holding on to a disproportionately large purse. She sat down and began to talk before Trench could ask for an explanation. I am here on behalf of a group of people having, how shall I put it, some common interests. We call ourselves the Beacon. Strange, Trench thought. That was the name of his father's bookstore before he sold it when he retired. We believe, Miss Sweeney went on, that you might be interested in participating in a project of ours. Pythagoras' Revenge, a mathematical mystery by Arturo Sangales, is without a doubt at the pinnacle of geekdom. Yes, it is a mystery wrapped around a square plus b square equals c square. Now, one does not need to understand math to enjoy the book, but to really get all out of this gem, math helps you solve all the little mysteries that exist in the book for real. The book is well written, and although done by an academic, it is not peppered with a plethora of grandiose words to perform a cornucopia of sentences. However, if you like mysteries and math and are not scared of full sentences, then give this book a try. It's kind of like a Da Vinci Code that could actually happen. And for that matter, has happened. There are countless urban legends of real-day mysteries embedded all around us in the real world. USB drives have literally been embedded into walls, and these drives hold geographic coordinates if you can decipher the clue. The granddaddy of them all is the cicada test. A series of clues left around the internet if you can solve the riddles. Whether it's an Illuminati plot or a CIA, KGB, MI6 entrance exam, maybe MIB, it is reported that nobody has solved all the riddles. Or if they have, nobody is talking. As an aside, during my research, I discovered that a number of middle year teachers, grades 6 to 9, use this book in class lessons to help students engage in science and math. I'm not sure if it's an easy read for grade 6, but if they read along in the class, it probably would work. Definitely, why not challenge the brains? Now, for grade 8s, grade 9s, and even grade 7s, all you need to be able to do is read and be able to understand the concepts that they're talking about being math. But this was part of its appeal. It engaged the teachers to engage their students to use the real world and the internet to find answers to a book to excite them about math. Put that in a dissertation. As a second aside, I want you to know that I chose not to share the schoolwork of grade 8 students on the show for many reasons. But one of the things that this assignment showed was that the student using the Pythagoras theorem to solve a CSI type question of which shooter did it, complete with some artwork that, although cartoon, was right from the creator's memory of an actual event. And we wonder why humans escape. Now back to Pythagoras' Revenge, a piece of fiction that found its way to me in the way of a Christmas present. The first Christmas after I sustained a life-changing concussion. However, reading the book was one of the first challenges for my brain, as reading had become something that which once was easy was no longer the escape it once was. But it's still one that I escape into. Like all humans that survive, I adapted. And reading the book and the starts and stops that I have to now do reading gave me the opportunity to stop at each little mystery and figure it out, even if that meant just going to the internet to see how it was done.
Well then, there's humans on the screen. I'm not presentable.
This week's on the Chronicle of Geeks, we have a panel of geeks. As mentioned, we as humans need to connect. We strive for it. We will go through great lengths to make it happen. My wife and I have the great fortune of belonging to a little herd that we call our nerd herd. This is a group of like-minded folks that we have somehow been able to associate ourselves with and to take us for who we are. Although each of us is a geek in our own way, we have different careers, likes, and escapes. But what we have in common is the love of getting together and playing games. However, with COVID-19, we have found that even our little group of 6 couldn't meet. So what are you going to do? We found Zoom.
I think I just heard a vote for Star Wars.
Come on.
Star Wars it is.
Whoop, whoop.
All right, here we go. You may not know this. What device did Captain Nida think the Falcon was too small a ship to have installed?
Is this on one of the episodes?
Describe like how being able to interact with people is good in a time like this.
Because we can't see anybody outside of the people that we work with ever.
Yeah.
Yes, this is better than nothing.
I get to remember what
We-
you guys look like.
Yeah, we don't know what you look like,
Mostly
Dean.
we get to remember what our friends look like.
Yeah, but you get to see
Yeah,
them. You can't see them.
Nope. What is
Well, I don't know.
Hyperdrive?
Hyperdrive?
cloaking device? Question mark.
Warp drive.
Dino gets it right. Cloaking device.
You're the only people I practically see with outside of work.
Yep.
So it's actually really nice to kind of just, to play a game middle of the week or at the end of the week, whenever we do it. It's just, it breaks it up. It makes it more, just more interesting right now. Otherwise, I'm not doing anything exciting. This is the highlight of my week. Legend. What is inside the Chamber of Secrets?
Let's say it, it helps. It helps the stir craziness and the monotony, right? To remember that there's other people out there, not just the same 6 people you see all day,
And Dean.
right?
Okay.
I have no idea.
Nagini.
I said secrets. There are secrets inside the secrets.
Okay. No, it's a monster. But
What?
it just says a monster. I don't know if these are.
I think Kat kind of got it right.
This is the right
Yeah.
answer.
Yeah. you could-
Okay, this is a good and easy one. So, Lord of the Rings. Where does Treebeard tell Pippin there is always smoke rising from these days? Where does Treebeard tell Pippin there is always smoke rising from these days?
Anybody else? It gets me out of the house and a little bit different frame of mind and not doing the hamster wheel in my own brain about all the things I can't do and just
I won.
need to be with friends. And
My-
have fun.
Oh.
Yeah, I said the same thing as Carrie.
I did too.
It
I
is
don't know.
There's always
You
smoke
sure you
right
got it?
hard.
I thought it had
So
a Minas,
It's Mordor.
Minas Morgul, Minas
Yeah.
Tirith, Minas.
Oh no, I don't know. I don't think so, but
As a part of our little bubble has been fantastic. It helps sort of clear up or open up spaces in me that are shut off when I'm sort of by myself or just sort of in my own little space. Being challenged by people in trivia reminds me that I'm not the smartest person in the room all the time, so that's
You wanna move on to
helpful.
Sure.
Okay.
So Cat won with 11. Dino
Okay.
came in second with 9. Damon came in third with 8. Clang and I tied for fourth with 7.
Woohoo!
And Carrie had 1.
Hey,
You did it!
Carrie won. She got the lowest score. We're playing by golf rules.
Lois.
So what is the meaning of hippopotomonstrosesquippedaliophobia?
The fear of big words.
You have to answer in the form of a question.
What?
Exactly. For 36 years, Alice Trebek, a proud Canuck from the north, came into our homes across North America and around the world to challenge everyone with trivia. Who is, what is, where is? The show, of course, continues not just only on reruns on Netflix, but with ongoing seasons. the premise of sharing trivia, those questions, beating the one on the screen who gets it, or beating them to the timer, the buzzer, or better yet, knowing an answer while all three contestants just stare at the camera, is an escape we all love. A challenge for you this week, depending on your situation, is to try and find an old box of questions. The local thrift store undoubtedly has at least one Trivial Pursuit, and your local bookstore will most likely deliver a new one right to your door. Or just go online and search trivia questions. Grab at least one other person and just ask the questions. No points, no rules, just the random trivia. And see where the conversation goes. Trivia has united us and divided households for the entire existence of humanity. It's what has kept us alive, literally. It is the gateway to curiosity. It is the foundation of discovery. Little tidbits of information have been the clue to solving some of the world's grandest mysteries. You have probably seen the glint in someone's eye as they come to realize that for whatever quirk of fate, they alone have the answer. Some piece of trivia that right now they can use to save the day. How they obtained it at that point is irrelevant. But in so many of the cases, it is because of an escape. And yes, there are many Cliffs out there who can be called upon in random street shoutouts. There's a Canadian quiz show that literally does just that, where random non-participants of the show can join the group and participate for a moment and occasionally know exactly what the answer is, while leaving those around them astonished. The escape of trivia is a double gateway. It not only allows one to escape, both passively by watching and actively by participating, but it also allows one to share back the things that they learned during their escape. Our herd knows that if you want to know Star Wars trivia, you call me. Harry Potter? Well, that's Cat. Until next time, I'm Damon Roth, here escaping with you on the Chronicles of Geek, on the Geek News Now Network. Don't forget to subscribe and like below, and as always, my friends, stay safe, stay brave, and most of all, stay geeky.